Before we get into today's video, I just want to quickly shout out to Cosmos Enjoyer. I will have their Instagram link down below. They were kind enough to lend me scans of the Energon Universe special because for some reason it doesn't come out digitally till like June 19th, and like the comic book came out last weekend, like physically. So I don't really understand why, but huge shout out to Cosmos Enjoyer for helping this video out because we had the audio all ready from last Saturday when this comic book came out, and I thought it was coming out on the same day as TF. But also too, I'm gonna redo the outro of this video because we covered TF issue 8 a couple days ago. So yeah, but the audio is still all good to go. So make sure you guys leave a like on this video and subscribe, and check out Cosmos Enjoyer Instagram down in the link below. And enjoy. All right, we are finally back with more Skybound comics, and more specifically the Energon Universe 2024 special for free on Comic Book Day, which, by the way, I'm new getting into the comics, and I'm going to my local comic book store for this, and it was awesome to grab, this comic book for free, but, the guy next to me made me feel dumb when I said, wait, this is free for real, and he pointed to the top of the comic and said, yeah, it's free. Anyways, this comic is dope, man. So this picks up on the arc, and a lot of people have been asking what the siege on the arc was going to be like, and we see it here as the main big baddie himself, Megatron, is going on a huge takedown, saying, I pity you Autobots, I see your struggle, you fight with honor and passion, if only your cause was just. And he says, but it is offensively naive, and he just murders Brawn right in the chest, like, bam, with the fusion cannon. It's amazing, man. It is. I did not think we were gonna see that straight up, but then we see Optimus come in and try for the final stop for Megatron, and these two just duke it out. And as Megatron starts to take the upper hand in this fight, he starts to taunt Optimus, saying, you can't believe the leader of the Autobots is begging for an end. And he continues to mock Optimus by basically saying, your softness is what ruining our home on Cybertron. And as Megatron starts to keep pummeling Optimus, taking the upper hand in this fight, Optimus charges up. Dude, okay, he charges up his Energon axe. And I'm glad this makes a return. We see Optimus charge it up and just completely slices off Megatron's fusion cannon arm off. And then he kicks him off, sending him off on the arc. And with just one arm, Megatron is hanging on by a thread, literally. And Starscream sees all this unfold. And as Megatron asks Starscream for help, typical Starscream behavior, he shoots Megatron off the ship, sending him crashing to Earth, which is just nuts, dude. It is nuts, but don't get worried. It gets even more crazy as we see Starscream saying, oh, you don't have to worry about the burden of leadership anymore. He'll take over. But we see Megatron flying off saying, Starscream. And in the next page, boom, Megatron wakes up in this laboratory. And I gotta be honest here, we gotta cover Cobra, man. As I think issue 1, we see Megatron posted up being worked on. I could be wrong. But as Megatron finally wakes up, screaming Starscream's name, these scientists are freaking out, trying to shut Megatron down. And as Megatron is about to stomp on these scientists, he tells them they can continue to live if they tell him where his limbs are. And so they do, and Megatron honors the deal, surprisingly, and gets his left arm. And Megatron says, thank you, you may live. And I don't know, man, Megatron saying thank you actually may be one of the most weirdest things I have seen him say. But as Megatron gets his arm back, he is blitzed by these huge looking beast things. And again, I'm not too familiar with what these are. I know someone in the comments will tell me what these are, but these beasts and these like guard looking dudes attack Megatron. Megatron just goes all out, and this guy on top of the beast calls Megatron a metal abomination and says, you still belong to me. And this part gets really cool as Megatron stops and says, belong? And says, do you know who I am? I belong to no one. And he just brings out his Energon mace and whacks the beast. Oh my, it's so good. And this guard looking dude, I don't know, he has it like a trident, but he throws the trident in Megatron's eye, like sending out this electric shock in Megatron's eye, and says, you are mistaken, beast. And Megatron is now essentially blind, but he can still somewhat see. He's still missing an eye, but like his other eye's all kind of messed up. But Megatron says, no, I was the leader of the Decepticons, the leader of the true way, the only way. And he charges out of this mountain. He just completely just runs for it and completely gets out of this mountain and makes his escape. And in this mountain area, we see Megatron say, I am coming for you, Starscream. And bang, Megatron is back and ready for vengeance. And I know some of you guys in the comments was predicting that. Like, it was only a matter of time for Megatron to come back, and he is back with vengeance. It's going to be really interesting to see how he comes back. Will Soundwave hand over leadership? He most likely will, but it's going to be really cool, man. But moving on with the Energon Universe special, we do have Void Rivals, and we have Skuxoid, the legend himself, asking what is the meaning of this, and we see Silzardo, which is really cool. I love these deep cut Season 3 references and characters. We have Skuxoid saying he found an alloy that matches specifications that Silzardo transmitted, and Silzardo asking where the alloy is, and it's, you know, it's a constant back and forth, which is a common theme for these two throughout this whole like issue. And Schizoid is saying he doesn't have it, and the Silzardo says, you know, how did you lose it? And, you know, Schizoid brings up how he had to run in with the Quintessence, and they took it and seemed really interested in it. And if you are confused on that, don't be, because I am as well, because I'm not caught up yet on Void Rival, so that the Quintessence are up to something again. But Schizoid brings up how once they heard it was Zerotonian, the Quintessence were really interested in it, and we see a person say, okay, this clearly isn't working. And we see in the next page, boom, it's Hot Rod. We knew Hot Rod was going to be in this because of one of the all covers we saw Hot Rod, but Hot Rod is a part of freaking Void Rivals, man, which is amazing. And Hot Rod says, you're dealing with me now, Schizoid. Tell me everything you know about the ship. And Schizoid and Silzardo are going back and forth like, oh, how could you work with a Cybertronian? You know, just, they're like an old married couple. But as they're going back and forth, Hot Rod brings up, hey, remember me, giant intimidating robot here? Which is amazing. And Hot Rod brings up how he is tracking an ally of his who's gone missing. He was obsessed with an old Cybertronian legend, thinking it would lead him to some way of saving our world. And, you know, Hot Rod needs to find him and basically says, are you going to help me? And if not, then you are in my way. And if you're in my way, you are my enemy. And because of Hot Rod's intimidation, Schizoid just folds and basically says, oh man, I'll tell you anything you want to know. And yeah, you know me. And Hot Rod just says, sadly, I do. And I just love this interaction, man. Just Schizoid and Hot Rod. It's just amazing. I'm so happy Hot Rod is back. Like, he's one of my favorite Transformers characters, so it's just cool to see him. And as Schizoid sends Hot Rod his way with coordinates, Hot Rod leaves and goes on his way. But as Schizoid and Silzardo are talking, we see this person eavesdrop and say, it is just how you expected, my lord. And that is how the Void Rivals part ends. And man, okay. Now, in terms of who the spy is, I really don't know, as I think I'm on issue 4 Void Rivals, so I really got to catch up. I should just speed read at this point and just get caught up. I'm very behind. And as for who Hot Rod is talking about, it's Springer. Like, Springer's been hyped up for Void Rivals for issue 9. He's been the cover. We've had all these alt covers. Even in one of the preview images, we see Springer there. So we know it's Springer. Hot Rod's looking for Springer. And as to what Cybertronian legend Springer was looking for, I think it's the Allspark. As something like the Allspark, if it's put in the right hands, it's a really good MacGuffin. And it's definitely something that could completely turn around on Cybertron and actually bring life into Cybertron. So it's going to be really interesting if that is the case. I don't know if it could be anything else. Let me know your guys' theories down below on what it could be, on what Springer was looking for. So Void Rivals and TF is going in an amazing direction. And now we have G.I. Joe. And I got to be honest, I have not read a single G.I. Joe comic. Let me know down in the comments if I should or not. I don't know. I never really got into it. But when people are saying like these comics are really good, so maybe I should check them out. But we have Colonel Hawk telling Duke how crazy his ideas and his plan is. And Duke's plan is essentially to go out and find Baroness and recruit her to her team, because I guess she's on the run and, you know, people are out to get her. And that's essentially his plan, is to go get her and ask for help and to join Duke's team that he's putting together. And there's like this back and forth situation where Duke and Colonel Hawk keep going at it. Like, Colonel Hawk will give a reason why not to go get Baroness, but then Duke will respond with, well, maybe, you know, this is why we should get her. And it's just a constant back and forth between these two. But as this conversation is happening, we do see Baroness on the run, and we see like these black and green ninja looking dudes like attacking her. And as she's like on the run, we see Duke come in and like swoop her up on his motorcycle. And Duke brings up, if we don't get someone like her, someone else will. So we see Duke rescue her and ask her to join the Joes, and at first she's against it, asking why, and Duke's answer is, well, we need someone to hold us accountable, someone to test us and keep us on edge, because the enemy will do the same thing. So she ultimately agrees to join the Joes, and then we go back to Colonel Hawk here and say, you went easy on her, and we realize those black and green masked ninja looking guys were actually the Joes, and it was all a ploy for Baroness to join the Joes and force her hand without her really knowing, which is really cool. And we see Lady J and Flint asking, why did the ploy look as what it did? Because it wasn't going according to plan, with Duke just coming in and grabbing Baroness and saving her like that on the motorcycle. But Colonel Hawk brings up that Duke and him have had some trust issues recently, and he shouldn't know that the Colonel is making more than one team. And that's where this issue ends. And oh my goodness, Skybound cooks again with another comic book, and I am very excited for what's next in Void Rivals and Transformers. Okay, I might have specified in the beginning, but you know, we are redoing the outro here for the Energizer Energon Universe Special. Okay, so now that we know that TF issue 8 takes place before the Universe Special, this is really interesting now as we learn to find out Megatron's going to run into someone. And we don't really know if it's going to be the Autobots because the Autobots detected a new Cybertronian signal, or if it's going to be Soundwave, or if it's going to be Astro Train. But things are going to get really interesting when it comes to Transformers issue 9. I am really intrigued, and we should have Megatron be in issue 9, but considering how this is coming out digitally June 19th, we might not see Megatron take place maybe till issue 10, but we should start seeing the events of it from issue 8 in the Energon Universe Special going forward. But I would love to know you guys' thoughts in terms of the Universe Special and TF issue 8. And yeah, I still got to catch up on Void Rivals, but don't worry, we're going to do like a whole volume breakdown soon. And I really got to read G.I. Joe. Let me know down in the comments below if I should or not. And huge shout out again to Cosmos Joy for helping the channel out. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.